Yes. Well, good evening to all the councillors in attendance and also the members of the public. I can confirm that we're live streaming this, so all of those present in the chamber are aware. I can confirm this meeting is being live streamed. And I'd like to remind you that it's conducted with our standing orders. We welcome public participation during the designated item on the agenda, for which you should have already booked with our executive officer. However, once the meeting has formally begun, public interjections cannot be permitted. I'd like to point out the exits in case of the emergency, and those are those doors over there. There's no fire drill planned, so therefore meet outside the Chinese takeaway after the alarm is finished. Toilets are available on this floor, and could I ask everybody to put their phones onto silence or to switch them off? Firstly, can I ask all councillors, have you received the documentation required to consider the agenda items? Thank you. Can I please remind all those in the chamber that the correct etiquette for this meeting is the counting and raising and counting of hands, and this being made clear to the executive officer. Now, we're going to move forward with the first item on the agenda, which is item 77, to elect the Vice Chairman of the Council. Can you confirm the nominations that you've received?
Nominations received for one candidate, which is Councillor Nicky Knott.
Right. Bearing in mind that you gave a short speech at the last full meeting, have you any desire to repeat it? Okay. Well, in that case, I think we can move ahead. Can I have a proposer for Councillor Knott as Vice Chairman and a seconder, please? So it's seconded by Councillor Haddon. All those in favour? Any abstentions? And 2 abstentions. Any against? None against. Correct? Right. Okay.
I'll arrange the signing of the Declaration of Acceptance of Office just for efficiency of the meeting.
Yes,
I'll arrange it.
you can arrange it later.
At the end of the meeting.
Right, well, yes, welcome, Councillor Knott. I'll now move on to item 78, which is public question time. This is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. Have we had any requests? No. No requests for any public participation. We'll move on to item 79, which is apologies of absence.
Apologies received from Councillors Vickers, Stannard, Brown, Turnwall. We've also had apologies from District Councillor Alex Jeffrey. And County Councillor Nigel Jupp will be here, but he said he'd be late because he's at another meeting.
Right, thank you. Item 80, which is declarations of interest. Are there any items on this agenda where councillors have a declaration of interest to declare? No declarations made. I'll now move on to item number 81, which is Chairman's report. I've got nothing additional to report apart from what the Executive Officer is going to include in his report. So I'll hand that over to you.
Just a few updates. So we are dealing with a significant amount of emails at the moment at the council and freedom of information requests presently, which is having an impact on time staff have for dealing with other matters. We have had some staff absences as well. So just to update councillors to bear with us in terms of timelines for responding to any queries that you have and anything you raise with the staff in the office. An update in relation to Southwater playing fields, so also known as Phillips playing fields. We had been in communication and contacting both Southwater Football Club with regular updates as to kind of progress we were trying to make with the fields, and we have now received a response from the owner of the fields. Unfortunately, the owner's position hasn't changed, and he isn't willing to discuss a sale or rent of the land for football pitches at this current time, unfortunately. The recent Southwater Parish Council communications survey conducted has now been concluded, and the Communications Engagement Officer has posted these results to our website. I just pass on her thanks to all those who participated in the survey, and the Council will continue to explore potential improvements in communication methods to better serve and engage the community. On the topic of that, another message from our Community Engagement Officer. As part of the efforts to progress the communication strategy of the Council, the Community Engagement Officer has been working on some internal training for councillors and a programme for social media, which you will receive more information on and dates for training from her in due course. As you will be aware, we did post an update on our website, but I'll just cover it anyway. The Planning Inspectorate upheld the appeal for the Horsham Golf Club application for 800 homes, which the appeal being upheld therefore means that it essentially grants permission for the 800 homes. The decision was released 11th of July 2025, and this does unfortunately have significant implications for Southwater and the wider Horsham district, particularly in the absence of an up-to-date local plan by the district authority. The inspector's decision highlights the district's lack of 5-year housing land supply and the outdated status of the Horsham District Planning Framework, otherwise known as the HDPF, and lack of a new local plan for the district. This does mean that speculative development, even outside settlement boundaries, can now be approved if it meets broader sustainability criteria under the NPPF. Following this news, we will be urgently reviewing options in the position for our neighbourhood plan, and I will be providing updates on what can be done to protect the Southwater from further large-scale developments and speculative development in view of there being no up-to-date local plan. There's more information on our website, and I will provide updates to the Planning Committee in due course. This follows on Councillor Claire Vickers is also not only a parish councillor but district councillor. She informed me today that following the HDC local plan examination and the inspector's recommendation for the district council to withdraw the plan for various reasons, it appears HDC will now be considering withdrawing the local plan from examination, where there is a report to be considered by its cabinet on 6th of August 2025 to consider the withdrawal. More information on this can be seen on the HDC website under the Communities and Place Policy and Scrutiny Committee agenda page on their website. I'm sure the District Council may provide further updates on that under the District Council report. That is all.
That's all. Right, thank you for that update. We'll now move on to item 83, which is correspondence. Is there any further correspondence?
Yes, I think our County Councillor Nigel Jupp may provide this under his update, but just for correspondence, we've received a news release from County Council, and it's titled "Embargoed, Have Your Say on the Future of Local Government in West Sussex." If you go to the website www.shapingwestsussex.org, you can find more information about it. But in summary, it's wants residents of West Sussex and its organisations to complete a survey asking about where they live, work, the council services they use, and as well as what matters to them about how their council could be structured in the future. The survey will close on Wednesday, 13th of August, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. More information can be found on the website, which we'll put in the meeting minutes, which is shapingwestsussex.org. And I'm sure we can share something on our website as well.
We'll have that on our website too, yes.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Anything more, or that's it? Right.
Chairman, on that, is there any way we can get something in hard copy out to the public in general about this survey? Because obviously not everyone has got internet access, and I think it does need to go out in some sort of format, either via a newsletter, so that people could actually, and some copies in the library perhaps for people to fill in.
I think certainly we need to publicise it on every available space in doing that. Possibly Councillor Jupp might be able to tell us what is available for people that don't have that access, internet access. I agree. We'll now move on to item number 84, meeting minutes. Now this is to receive and approve the annual meeting minutes of the Parish Council of the 21st of May 2025. Those present were myself, Councillor Lewis, Pearce, Watkins, Knott, Stannard, Haddon, Brown, Everard. You've all seen those minutes. Can I have a proposer for those minutes? Proposer by Councillor Pearce, seconded by Councillor Watkins. All those in favour that were at the meeting to approve? No, so that's 6-4. Are there any abstentions? Are there any objections? No. Did you get the count? Yeah. We'll move on to the second item of that, and that is matters arising. Were there any matters arising from those minutes? No, no matters arising. Right. 2 of item 84, which is the extraordinary full council meeting of the 4th of June 2025, and that is to receive and approve those minutes. Can I have a proposer for those minutes, please? I'll just confirm who was at that meeting. That was myself, Councillor Pearce, Watkins, Knott, Haddon, Brown, Cole and Turnbull and Villis. So you're proposed by Councillor Knott, seconded by Councillor Villis. All those in favour that were at that meeting? So that's all apart from Councillor Everard, and who was Everard wasn't there. Any abstentions? Any against? No. Thank you. We'll now move on to the item number 85, which is the County Council reports and communications. And Councillor Jupp is here ready to give us good news.
Good evening, Chairman, and thank you. Good evening, councillors. Forgive me, I'm literally just coming through the door, and I didn't catch the whole of Justin Tyler's statement about local government reform and your comment as well. I think this is just recent news that you've received. I'm actually been away today, so I was just switching on my laptop to see what was coming through. But I think you were talking about the consultation that's going to go forward with regard to local government reform. If I may, I'll come back to you tomorrow, if I may, if that's come out. But if I could just talk about 4 things this evening, or 5 things this evening, which 4 of which to do with Southwater, and 1 in terms of generally the County Council and its the way it proceeds with its finances. First of all, and forgive me, I wasn't here to hear the executive officer's report in full, but I don't know whether or not Justin mentioned, but a meeting has been set up at the end of the month with Highways from West Sussex County Council, to look at the proposal from the Parish Council for extending the 30-mile-an-hour speed limits along Worthing Road from, I think, Hangman's Hill it's known, through to by the Hen and Chick, and from just up the way here, College Road, up to the roundabout, Pollard's roundabout. That meeting is taking place on the 29th of July, I believe, and Justin has got that in the diaries. I don't know whether or not he communicated also to you, Chairman, that it would be, of course, a delight to see you as well if you were available at that same time.
Thank you.
But I know that is something that a number of your parishioners have been speaking about recently with you, so hopefully we can move that forward. Over the last decade or more, you've seen a great deal of new housing in Southwater, and as a result, traffic volumes have increased along that Worthing Road. I hope that when you come to make the formal application, it will be received favourably by the County Council Highways. Secondly, if I could just, on a similar sort of topic, I was pleased to see when I was in Southwater yesterday that the zebra crossing, the pedestrian crossings by the schools, the Junior Academy and the junior school, the Infant, have been repainted, which has been outstanding for quite some time. And I was very pleased to see that, and I hope that you've seen that as well. And make it more visible, as we said, or as I said, Worthing Road is a busy road, and those markings have been worn down over time with all the increased traffic. Since we last met, I think it was probably the last time we met, I spoke about the West Sussex County Council's decision to turn Millay School from single-sex girls to be co-education, which for a lot of people was a welcomed piece of news. Not with everybody, however. Since that time, there were objections to the process that was undertaken by the County Council on its consultation, a statutory consultation exercise. Principally, those objections came from Millay School. It was decided by the council, by the legal officers there, that in order to allow the matter to be determined without going through any legal disputes which may take a great deal of time, it was decided to rerun the consultation, which has now been underway, and I think it finishes at the end of this week or beginning of next week. So there will be the opportunity, or has been the opportunity, for those people who wanted to support the principle of moving to co-education there to make their voices known, and also for those people who wanted the status quo to continue. I'm hopeful that a decision will be announced by the Cabinet member responsible for these issues sometime in August, probably late July, August, which, if the decision to make Millay into a co-educational school, it would allow time, as originally envisaged, for the necessary building works to be carried out at Millay so as to allow both boys and girls to be accommodated suitably by September 2026. And in the same sort of way about education, as you may recall, this March, 1st of March, or whatever it was, disappointingly, a number of boys were not, Southwater boys at the Junior Academy and at Castlewood, were not allocated schools, secondary schools in Horsham, and I think there were about 10 in total, 10 or 11. Anyway, they were advised to go to appeal for admission to whichever school that they were after, whether it be Forest, Tambridge House, the Weald, or Bowhunt. And those appeals took place in May and June, and I'm pleased to report that the schools, the primary schools, report that all those children were successful in their appeals and now have, or will have, the prospect of joining one of their schools, one of those five schools, in September of this year. It's regrettable that this process had to be carried out, but there is, just at the moment, an imbalance in the number of secondary school places in Horsham for Year 7 because of the surplus spaces at Millay, because Millay's popularity has waned in previous years. And if you were to look at a thing called the school planning, school planning places document on the West Sussex website for 2025. It details the number of spaces, secondary school spaces that are available in Horsham at its 4 schools, and compares it with the number of children who are on those rolls. And you'll see that there is a headroom of about 96 spaces for September 2025. But because Millay's intake in September is less than 175, I think it is, out of the 300 spaces, you'll see that all those spare places are in Millay. But if, in fact, should the Cabinet member decide to proceed with making Millay co-educational, then there will be sufficient capacity in the short term, certainly, to be able to house children. Whilst if I may just defer to another issue which may come up, I don't know whether or not you've been discussing it, but I do see on social media comments about the question of available secondary school places for Southwater children. Would it be impacted by the planning consent, which I see was just granted on appeal? I think it's 800 homes on the Horsham Golf site. Well, if you have a look at the school planning places document, you'll see that there is headroom under current arrangements. Very crudely, 1,000 houses produces about 30 children in each age group to go to children. So if you have 1,000 houses, you will create one new class for each year, whether it be reception year 1 all the way right the way through up to GCS. So you'll see that in fact the Horsham Golf site, 800, would on its own not produce one full class right the way through. However, it is only one of any number of developments which have been granted planning consent in the course of the last few years in Horsham, and there may well be more. So the planning place document does talk about an additional school being needed in the Horsham area. Now, it may be that additional school is on the north side of Horsham because of the new prospective developments coming between Horsham and Crawley. But these developments take quite some time to build out, as you'll know, with the Berkeley Home Scheme here, which granted 585 houses, still isn't fully built out. And I think you've probably seen a development there going on for 7 to 8 years, actually building works, probably 50 to 75 houses a year. So you can see the number of new children coming out is drips and drabs. And of course, the Southwater Infant Academy, which only a few years ago was bursting at the seams. It was anticipated to have 120 new children each year in the reception, and they were pressing to get increased space. Well, they've actually reduced now to only having 90 children in the current climate. So there has been a drop-off in birth rates, which has relieved pressure. But I'm sure with the advent of all these new planning consents, there will have to be serious consideration given to a new school somewhere in the Horsham area within the next 5 to 10 years. Sorry, Chairman, to go on about that, but I know it's a live issue with a number of your residents, and they may be listening in this evening. I'm very happy to take any questions that you may wish to put forward, if I can help anybody.
Well, thank you very much. And you've answered the questions that I'd had for you regarding the schools, because as you say, it's a very hot topic, as it were, and you've given a good explanation. I now fully understand, and I'm sure any of the public viewers will be able to see what's happening as well. I'll just open the floor to other councillors. Have you any questions for Councillor Joe? Yeah.
Yes, if you've got a second. You've mentioned the 800 houses for Horsham Golf and Fitness. Excluding that, with the change in the government figures, we will be taking somewhere around 1,400 houses during the next 10 years, if it can be built out, without the Horsham Golf and Fitness. Approximately about, the next 15 years, sorry, 90 odd properties per year. So there's a cumulative effect, which obviously will take a toll regarding children. And I know your figures are a rule of thumb situation and have worked over many years on that. But obviously, with the not having a local plan in place and the the breaching of our neighbourhood plan at the moment, we are liable to take quite a substantial amount of housing. And I know you can't really comment on it because it's more for the district, but I just wanted to note it in this time that there will be places at a later date, if those figures don't match, we will be looking at additional schooling.
I agree. Where the location of the school is may be another matter, but certainly if Southwater were to receive a considerable increase because of the current government's view about planning and housing numbers, that may well be the case. But please do read this planning document. Forgive me, there's a great big section there, and it does talk about Southwater. I think it's page 101 to 115.
Thank you. Have we got those details so that we can put them on our website?
Forgive me, it's on the website, West Sussex website, so you can log into that.
We can log in
Yeah.
and put
Planning
a link
places
on.
document,
Yes.
I've got it open here, so I can just
Yeah.
forward the link on an email to you, Justin.
It was
Okay,
published
thank
in May.
I was just looking through it.
Yes. It just helps residents to understand how schooling places are allocated and where they are and the impacts on planning. And of course, that is a movable feast at the moment. Yes.
Chairman, I think you wanted to discuss the consultation and people that haven't got the internet.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that reminder. For the local government review that was published, it's a welcome ability for people to give their views on it, but we were concerned that people without the access to the internet will be precluded if they can't have that link. Is there any plan to provide some hard copies that will allow those that can't access it online?
Forgive me, I don't have that information available with me, but I imagine there may be provision for hard copies to be made available at libraries, and you are fortunate to have a library here in Beeson House. So that may be the case, but if I can come back to you
If you
tomorrow
could
on that.
confirm that, yes, please. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Councillor Jupp? No? Well, thank you very much for coming along this evening and updating us.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I now move on to item number 86, which is the District Council report, and I think we've got Peter to come and give us the report. Good evening.
Good evening, councillors. Alex has prepared something for me to read, and then we'll go on to a couple of other issues at the back end of that, which have already sort of been touched on this evening. Some of it's written in the first person. I'm not going to try and modify that language, but I have read it, and I don't disagree with anything he's saying, so for I read we. Okay, well, we'll start off with a bright on the bright side, the sunset sessions at South Warding County Park. The second instalment was recently introduced. It was great fun. I went down there myself. And we see this as an opportunity of bringing the community together and strengthening social cohesion whilst providing free entertainment to those who otherwise may not have the opportunity. Sunset sessions will continue throughout the summer months with scope to make these a permanent feature moving forward should the remaining planned sessions go to plan. It has been fantastic to witness how well received these sessions have been embraced by the community, and long may they continue. An update on the local government reorganisation. Public engagement on the local government reorganisation will begin shortly and will run until the 10th of August. The leader of the council recently held a discussion with his member advisory group, and all member briefing to councillors will take place shortly so that we're aware of what's going on and we can work with you and feed back to you. The Chief Executive and a representative of the County Council will also hold a meeting to brief the parish and neighbourhood councils in due course. There will be a number of other engagement meetings with groups of other interested parties, such as the NHS, police, schools and businesses, and a senior officer representative from the County Council and the chief executive from each of the district councils will attend each of these meetings. Government planning consultations. There are a number of government planning consultations related to proposed changes to the planning system that may be of interest to the parish council. The technical consultation relating to planning committees. There are a number of proposals here relating to a national scheme of delegation, limiting what can go to a planning committee and who can call to committee, limiting the size of planning committees and mandatory member training. And the consultation for that closes shortly, 23rd of July. There is a site thresholds consultation. The government are proposing to create a medium development category of between 10 to 49 homes and to lessen requirements on SME builders. There is a reference to national development management policies, but we understand that will be subject to a separate consultation. And each of these have a link on the document that's been provided to the CEO, and so presumably that'll go on the website and people will be able to navigate their way through to. Is that how it works?
Yeah, we can arrange to put it on our website. Yeah, thank you.
And there is also consultation related to build-out rates. Simply put, the government are trying to improve delivery rate by developers. Some of the proposals include build-out rates submitted as part of planning applications, requirement for annual reports on delivery rates, and potential imposition of penalties should developers not build to the rate they identified at the planning application stage. Consultation looks like it might have actually closed on that one. Biodiversity net gain. This consultation includes options around extending exemptions, simplifying the small sites metric, and increasing ease of access to the off-site market. It also addresses specific challenges for brownfields developments. Officers are drafting responses in liaison with the Cabinet Member for Planning and Infrastructure. Right, moving on to Love Parks Week. HDC are pleased to announce that Love Parks Week is back for 2025. We will again be supporting the National Keep Britain Tidy sponsored campaign from Saturday 26 July to Wednesday 30 July by encouraging our younger residents to get out and about to enjoy our parks and open spaces. This year we have a packed programme of free and low-cost activities to be enjoyed. The Fabularium Theatre Group are returning with a selection of shows and storytelling. There's also a host of nature-themed arts and crafts, circus skills, garden games, as well as wildlife trails and quizzes. We will be touring the district with events taking place at Bennett's Field on the 26th of July, Fletcher's Croft, Stenning on the 27th of July, Leechbull Woods 28th of July, Henfield Common 29th, and Southwater Country Park on the 30th of July. There's a website and booking system which is currently open. And again, there's a link to that for when this goes up. Upcoming resident event, the Black Heroes of the Industrial Revolution. On Thursday, an event will be held at the Lintop by local resident and veteran Paul Phoenix, who will be giving a talk on Black Heroes and the Industrial Revolution, celebrating legacy, inspiring futures. The event is free of charge with talks from 3 speakers, including Paul Waters, an award-winning BBC broadcaster. The event will centre on highlighting the underrepresentation of some of the key innovations of the past, something that Paul is extremely passionate about. The event will include a finger buffet for those in attendance. And as Alex says, having met Paul, he is truly inspirational, and I hope residents may find the time to attend to lend their support, if possible. And lastly, concerns regarding activity in Blinks Wood. Residents in Woodlands Way and Ash Road have raised concerns regarding recent activity that has taken place in Blinks Wood, part of the Dragons Estate. Recent activity has included alleged clearance of protected bluebells, fencing off of access to public rights-of-way, and the felling of mature trees. Alex has raised this concern with West Sussex County Council and the Planning Compliance Team at HDC. It has since been confirmed that officers from West Sussex County Council will be conducting a site visit to evaluate whether access to the PROW has been curtailed, and will take appropriate action if that's the case. And Alex will be writing to affected residents in due course to update them, and will be writing to the Dragons estate to ascertain the rationale and justification for the recent works undertaken. And he will update the parish council accordingly. So that's best wishes, Alex.
Alex. Well, thank you very much, Peter. Does any...
Sorry, I've got a couple. I'm just going to
Oh,
move on.
you've, all right,
I've
okay.
got my.
You've got yours. Go on.
So this is really to do with a couple of things that have come up today to do with the Horsham Golf and Fitness, and I just want to sort of give you a sense for where we're with that. I mean, as you may well be aware, I was the planning chairman for that meeting, and we had a very strong recommendation from our officers to refuse that application, and we did that on a considerable number of grounds. As the appeal process proceeded, they were able to answer a number of the concerns that the council raised, so that when it actually came to the inspector, there were significantly less grounds, but they were grounds that we genuinely believed could be defended. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But we did do everything that we could. Unfortunately, unfortunately, not if you're looking to buy a house somewhere, but clearly there's a shift in attitudes under the Labour government to build, and what we have to be careful of here is that we don't get caught up in a situation where they're ploughing ahead regardless of quality of development and harm to the environment, and that, I think, is going to have to be something that we are going to have to work very hard on. Following on a little from Councillor Jupp's thing about the school, as you will remember, those of you who attended a public meeting where I discussed with John Milne about the Southwater development proposal that was going into the local plan, one of the things that I am, I think, very well aware of is, regardless of the numbers, Horsham, Southwater needs a school. And I still believe that, and I think that, you know, we now need to concentrate on how we can make that happen. And I'm sure not everybody agrees with that, but I think it's just going to get worse, and obviously with the golf and fitness. So just sort of going on now, sort of shifting now towards the local plan, I think, you know, I think we could see a situation arising, which is why we moved in the way that we did to get the local plan submitted. And I think what's ultimately, contrary to the discussions that have happened at the time, the problem with the plan is not that it had too few houses, sorry, too many houses, but it didn't clearly have enough houses. And that is the fundamental reason that it was not, that the appeal, that it was, the inspector wasn't happy with it. Where this is going now is, as you heard from the CEO through Claire, a report will be submitted to the scrutiny committee. They will be recommending that HDC withdraw its plan after the planning inspector indicated that he would not find the plan sound. It will then go to Cabinet for a final decision on the 6th of August. Just speaking personally for a moment, I'm proud that we managed to submit what we believe was a good plan. It was well prepared, locally shaped, and designed to meet the need of our communities. It tackled the unique challenges of water neutrality with a realistic and deliverable strategy. It would have given us a period of certainty while those challenges were resolved. And obviously it's easy to apportion blame, but I believe it's very important, because this has ongoing circumstances perhaps, to recognise that water neutrality has made it impossible and illegal for HDC to deliver the housing at the rate that the government and the inspector were seeking. In our view, the inspector's decision was wrong, and we don't agree with the reasoning. But we do accept our responsibility to act swiftly in the public interest. And that means cracking on with a revised local plan that will focus on shaping development in HDC. So I'm happy to take any questions. I may or may not be able to answer them, but that's my little summary of the situation.
Yes, well, thank you for that, Peter. As you know, that the neighbourhood plan was presented for review to Horsham planning officers back in I think it was November or December 2023. It took some time for a response to come from Horsham as to what should happen. We were then told, in effect, that we would have to wait for the local plan to proceed, which you were confident that it would do. And of course, the neighbourhood plan lost its space, as it were, to be reviewed within the correct timescales. So the decision by Horsham District Council did impact on the neighbourhood plan, and I think that now it will have an impact on what happens and how we go about it. And it's disappointing that the inspector has thrown out did not agree with the objection for the Horsham Golf and Fitness application, as has agreed that it can go ahead, and that really is a concern for the residents of Southwater after having a neighbourhood plan in place which provided that protection. I'll open up the table now for councillors to also
I can just respond to that quickly. I mean, I think this is where we need to kind of get together a little bit. I have already started having conversations around what HDC can do to help Southwater Council get that revision to the neighbourhood plan through, and not just how do we strengthen it? Because without a local plan, there might be areas that we can address where we can strengthen the neighbourhood plan, because it ultimately is the fallback position. So but we need to talk about that together. People need to get around the table and try and make that happen, right?
Councillor Watkins.
Yes, thank you, Peter. I was going to ask some questions, but the question should really be to Alex. But one of the problems we've got now is that the appeal has been published on the Horsham Golf and Fitness, and the inspector has found that the neighbourhood plan holds very little weight, or limited weight, because it's 5 years old. To get it back into the sort of the stage where it's going to have a reasonable amount of weight, we need to review that plan. And as Councillor Moore said, in December 2023, we went to Horsham, submitted our revisions to Horsham, and they said they couldn't deal with it until the local plan was through Regulation 19 and on its way to examination. It has failed to actually engage with us, Peter, over this period of time to put this neighbourhood plan in place. The neighbourhood plan cost in excess of £100,000, and we had full protection for the neighbourhood plan until Horsham didn't get its local plan through. I understand what the inspector has done, and I understand the change in government policies, but in my mind there was no real reason why Horsham District Council couldn't have moved forward with our local plan, with our neighbourhood plan, because the water neutrality situation only comes to a balancing situation when a planning application is made. We just had an allocation under housing needs assessment, which Horsham didn't actually need to deal with water neutrality because it wasn't a planning consent and it wasn't being built. we're now in a situation that we're going to have to try and put this neighbourhood plan back in place, and we've got our first meeting on it tomorrow. It's going to be very, very complicated to get this neighbourhood plan holding any weight at all without Horsham accepting and allowing us to go with our modifications. And even then, as the inspector has said, because of the inclusion of one word in the documentation that was argued by the appellant, we've got scenarios where development will be acceptable even if it's in conflict with the neighbourhood plan. So we've got an awful lot of work to put that plan back together. And I really do believe it's because Horsham were committed in moving with the local plan and told us, plus other parishes, that we would have to wait. And there was no need, in my view, for us to wait. And the reason I'm not asking you any questions on that, it's a statement, and I'll be making that statement to the Chief Executive Officer of Horsham District Council, because I think it's virtually ruined South Water's neighbourhood plan. It's going to take an awful lot of time and work to actually bring that back into some stage where it will give protection to South Water. We've actually got no protection anymore. There is a certain amount of protection in the 2015 local plan, but when the last meeting I attended with Horsham District Council, or two meetings I attended with Horsham District Council, said we're going to appeal the decision. Last one, it said, well, we're considering appealing the decision. And now I find published on the website, well, we're going to remove the local plan. It just doesn't make any sense what we've been told since April. And I really feel that this could have been dealt with at an earlier stage by your officers. And it's going to cause us a huge problem to get this neighbourhood plan back in a stage where it can give some protection. As I say, we've got meetings tomorrow morning, and those are probably going to go on over the next 2 or 3 months. And all Horsham can do to help us is get behind the plan and let us do the revisions, which would then bring back the housing needs assessment, because our housing needs assessment, although the inspector has criticised it, wasn't a plucking it out of the air. We did a full housing needs assessment in 2018, which hasn't changed to this date. And I'm really disappointed that we're in a stage now that, you know, firstly Horsham was saying, oh, we're going to appeal this decision, then perhaps we'll appeal it. And now they're going to take it to scrutiny on the 23rd, and then they're going to take it to full council on the 6th of August to say, well, it's dead in the water. And we're looking at 24 months to put another local plan back in place, which South Water and most of the parishes will have no housing protection at all. And as I said earlier on, we will take probably South Water in the next 15 years will be taking 13, Horsham have calculated at 1,365 houses. That's without windfall sites and without the neighbourhood plan site coming out. So we could see in excess of 2,000 houses in the next 15 years without the correct infrastructure for education, or education will come with it. I mean, it will come with housing numbers, but you know, the doctor's surgery, the roads, the Worthing Road's out of date. Nobody's looking at bringing any sort of reasonable infrastructure into place. I'm not asking you a question because I don't think it's fair to ask you any question. I was just disappointed and wanted to make this statement tonight. But you know, I do thank you for moving forward and sort of saying, well, we need to deal with it. I do thank you if you can arrange meetings with Horsham District Council to try and put this neighbourhood plan back in place.
Well, that's what I said. You know, I think this is now in everybody's interests for the tiers of government to get together and make this happen. It's in everybody's interest, and I'm extending that on behalf of myself and the other councillors at Horsham District, both in our ward and those who are involved in similar things elsewhere. I'm sure there needs to be a collective element to get these neighbourhood plans as tight as we possibly can, as soon as we possibly can. And I think everybody would agree with that. I certainly do. And we will do what we can in order to facilitate and help in any way we can.
Thank you, Peter.
Excuse
Jeff,
me.
yes.
How many houses are there in South Water at the moment? 3,500, is it? roughly?
It's very rough, around 4,700.
Is it? So we're only talking about an addition of 50% or so.
So based on central government numbers, you're looking at 95 houses per year over a 15-year period, so it's about 99 houses, sorry, it's 1,485 houses is the figure that has to be delivered, plus there's a 20% buffer on top of that. So you'd be looking at that combined with the 800 dwellings in Horsham Golf and Fitness. Yeah, so around Windfall, further spec, you're looking at around 2,500 houses.
Yeah, that's 2,500 uncontrolled as to where they are, because we have no choice about where they go. It comes from developers. That's the problem. They'll scatter everywhere. We'll have Shipley, all the way down Shipley Road. It's dead easy. Pick off a field at
The
a time.
lack of protection.
Yeah, and it really is very serious. And we've got into this situation, as Graham described, and we've got to solve it, but it's probably too late.
Well, let's hope not, eh? As I
Well,
say,
hope
you
not,
know,
no, but that's
all
not
right. Well, let's try and make sure it isn't. Is all I'm saying. You know, if you want to sort of bang heads and work against each other, it probably won't happen. If we can get together and work together, we might be able to get it there.
Well, thank you, Peter. Are there any other councillors that would like to pose a question to Peter?
Just to say from my perspective as one of the officers of the council, whatever support we can get from the councillors that represent Southwater would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yep, and we're all local. We can, you know, I haven't yet received an invitation to join you at a meeting at council tomorrow, but I work locally. I could be there at short notice. That's the sort of thing I'm suggesting, but you've got to be inclusive.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, but if you recognise the timescales that this has happened, we're just having to pick up the pieces very
Sure,
quickly.
I realise that.
So-
And I remember, Councillor Moore, I remember well, you know, when you were asked to, you know, wait.
Yeah.
I remember it well. I remember the conversations, and at the time it seemed like there was a logical reason, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. There were reasons why it was better to wait. Unfortunately, now that the plan has disappeared, that's not the case. But that was done with the best intention. But it does now mean we are playing catch-up.
We are.
Okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Peter, for your report.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'll now move on to item 87, which is accounts. Now, this balance reserve is going to be deferred until the next
so
meeting.
be deferred to our next meeting. Fortunately, we've had some staff absence and shortages, and with the
additional work.
significant
Yeah.
inquiries and FOI requests we've had, it's not had time to produce the accounts for review, so I can only
That's all right.
apologise for that.
That's okay. Thank you for that. We'll now move on to item 88, and again, this is to receive and approve minutes from the committees. The first is the Finance and General Purposes Committee, and that is the meeting of the 18th of June 2025. Those present were Councillor Pearce, Brown, Cole, Turnwell, Knott and Vickers. So therefore, can I have a proposal from one of those councillors that were present? Councillor Pearce has nominated and Councillor Knott has seconded. All those in favour at that who attended the meeting. So there's 3. Are there any abstentions? Are there any against? No, there are none. Thank you for that. I now move on to the matters arising from those minutes. Are there any matters arising? No matters arising. We now move on to the Planning Committee, and these are the minutes of the 2nd of July 2025. And let me just... Those attending that meeting was Councillor Watkins, Villis, Haddon, Turnbull, Stannard, Everard and myself. So can I have a proposer for those minutes? Councillor Haddon proposed and Councillor Watkins seconded. All those in favour that attended the meeting of approving those minutes? Thank you. Any abstentions? Any against? No, none to both. Thank you for that. We now move on to 88, item 3, Health and Safety Committee.
Just to say that Senior Operations Officer will circulate an update to councillors.
Right. And in respect of the HR committee, there was no committee meeting minutes. We now move on to item 89, and this is the Local Government Reorganisation and Devolution Working Group, to consider and approve the draft terms of reference. You'll see in the pack there that you've got the draft terms of reference. We had Councillors Pierce, Watkins, myself, and the Executive Officer and the Assistant Executive Officer. Though the terms of reference were, the draft terms of reference are with you. Can I have, this is for Council to approve, so you're approving those terms of reference. To consider and approve these terms of reference. So, are there any items that you wish to raise? No? Is there a proposer for these? Councillor Watkins has proposed, and Councillor Pierce has seconded. All in favour? And that's unanimous. Any abstentions? Any against? No.
Just to note, one of the emerging proposals that are referenced in the terms of reference is the District Council's Community Asset Transfer Policy. I've just seen that it will be featuring on one of your upcoming, on one of the District Council's upcoming meetings. So just waiting for further updates as to when that's going to be published by the District Council.
Right, thank you. We now go on to the second part of item 89, and that is to appoint members onto the working group. So you've had the terms of reference, which are now accepted. We now need to form a working group who then will consider the reorganisation and devolution changes that are likely to face us. Now, I will go on to that group.
So
That was for the group that had to decide the terms of reference. So now we've got to go back on and be part of the group. So we've got Councillor Villis, Pierce, Everard, Watkins, myself, Nott. Did you get those down, or do you want me to?
So just to Councillor Moore, Councillor Nott, Councillor Pierce, Councillor Villis, Councillor Everard, Councillor Watkins.
Yes. Pardon? Oh, you're
No
right,
limit, really.
because the terms of reference actually limit a maximum
Sorry,
of
five.
5.
1, 2, 3. There's 6 there.
There's 6.
Be daytime.
Daytime. Yes. So is that you're stepping away from that? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Right. That corrects the number. Yes.
One could argue that that was determined by a select committee, and that, in fact, somebody might vote for a larger number in the full council.
Well, you've got within the terms of reference, there are the co-options of non-councillors, but of course, co-opted members may be approved by the working group itself. So there is a degree of flexibility in there. Yes, we'll note that Councillor Everard is interested.
To be honest, whilst the terms of reference say between 3 and 5 councillors, I think given the nature of the complexity of everything that we'll be looking at, I think as and when it becomes necessary to call on the expertise of certain councillors with experience in certain areas, there's a lot to actually look over here, not just for the officers, but the councillors involved and one of the first things I will be looking at with the working group members is actually the budget necessary for this council going into the ensuing financial year. One of the key factors of the seminars that I've been attending with National Association of Local Councils and the SLCC is to ensure that councils have sufficient budget for professional fees, legal fees, consultancy, feasibility studies, especially given the list of non-statutory assets and services that Horsham District Council provide, which may not make its way to the unitary authority. So whilst we have these terms of reference, I think realistically, the officers of the council will be looking to councillors who can provide expertise as and when required.
Thank you. Right, we'll now move on to item number 90, which is Neighbourhood Wardens Steering Group to appoint a member. There's a vacancy due to a resignation of a councillor. Now, this, Councillor Pearce, would you like to say anything?
Yes, as you know, obviously Steve Lewis has left the council and was him and I together have been doing that for a couple of years. And I would like to propose the replacement as being Councillor Villis.
Right. Well, it's been seconded. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Yes.
Is Councillor Villis prepared to do it?
Yes. Councillor Villis actually voted for himself as well. So
Agreed by all.
thank you. Right, we'll now move on to item number 1, and this is a list of policies, and they are different in each one. We have 9 to consider. Do you want to take us through, or are you happy for me to?
Yeah.
Right,
Take you through each one if you like.
All
Chairman.
right. The first policy is the committee structure 2022 to 23, and this is to revoke this policy, and you've got a briefing note to explain the reasons for revoking it.
So in the briefing note, it explains that it duplicates information, and because it duplicates what we already have in respective committees' terms of reference, the council's adopted a scheme of delegation. And other information, it's just another document that has to be updated when those documents change. So it doesn't add anything, and by having it, it doesn't really provide anything extra. But what I would like to do, though, following the revoking of this structure, is I will be creating an infographic. So current councillors, future councillors, members of staff can understand and can visualise how the different structures work across the council. So myself and the assistant executive officer will be working on I guess an organisation chart to kind of demonstrate the different committees that we have and how they work and number of members and so on.
Right. So can I have a proposer for that? Councillor Haddon has proposed. A seconder, please. Councillor Knott. All those in favour? Yes, that was unanimous. Yes. Thank you for that. I will now move on to the second policy, and that's the freedom of information policy. And you'll see this is to approve the amendments in tracked changes. So you'll see those track changes are in red. Are there any questions, or can I have a proposer?
I did raise an item on this with the executive officer earlier on. You are happy for electronic communications on that basis? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The requests for internal reviews can be done either via hard copy through the post or to our address and delivered, or via email, and guidance on the ICO enables both. I do appreciate that under 4.3 of the policy, I will make a small formatting change just to actually add a gap so it's clear and obvious between the address and then the other option being or via email.
Right. Thank you for that. So that clarifies it can be by electronic or post, and it's clear. Right, could I have a proposer and a seconder for that? Proposer was Councillor Knott and seconded by Councillor Pearce. All those in favour? Again, that's a unanimous vote. Thank you for that. I'll now move on to item number 3, CCTV policy. No amendments. All that is required is to approve continued use. Can I have a proposer? Councillor Cole has proposed. Councillor Watkins second. All those in favour? And again, that's unanimous.
Just a quick minor update in relation to CCTV. I had a query come through today from Sussex Police. For clarity, whilst Horsham District Council actually maintain, manage and operate the CCTV in Lintott Square, neither the parish council or the district council has access to any of the footage. Only Sussex Police do. So just thought I'd point that out.
Right, thank you for that. And as we know, to our frustrations, when we want to view those, we have to go through the police, and if the police don't believe it is of significant importance, then it can take a long time if it ever happens. We'll now move on to item 4, which is delegated authority record form. And now this is to withdraw the form. Would you like to explain the reason?
So briefing note, I think, covers it in quite a bit of detail. Rationale for withdrawal. It's basically redundant, hasn't been used, is unused. It's duplication of audit trail, all our existing procedures, such as minute decisions, officer correspondence, payment authorisations, internal controls. We already have audit trail on all of them, as checked by the internal auditor, external auditor. There's no statutory requirement for us to fill out additional forms. It just creates an additional administrative burden, which doesn't really add anything to the effectiveness of the operation, just actually impedes. So I think just for reassurance, you'll see in the notes, all instances where decisions have been made under delegated authority have been carried out in a strict accordance with the Council's adopted scheme of delegation, standing orders and financial regulations. We're audited every year by both the internal and external auditor. So yeah, it's, I think, from my perspective, from the Council's perspective, it's a form that is redundant, and there's no reason for us to have it on our website.
Right. Can I have a proposer for that, please? Proposer is Councillor Haddon. A seconder, please. Councillor Billis has seconded. All those in favour? And again, that's a unanimous decision. Thank you for that. I'll now move on to item 5, equality and diversity policy. This is no amendments, and it is to continue to approve the continued use. So can I have a proposer for that, please? Proposer is Councillor Watkins, seconded Councillor Cole. All in favour? That's, and again, is unanimous. We now move on to the item 6, which is expenses policy. Again, no amendments, and it is to approve the continued use. So can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Cole has proposed, Councillor Pearce has seconded. All in favour? That was unanimous again, thank you for that. We're now moving on to the item 7 of 91, which is the members' dispensation scheme, code of conduct to the dispensation scheme to revoke, and you've got a briefing note on that. Do you want to say anything?
I've covered everything I need to sort of explain and go over in the briefing note. So unless there's any additional questions on it, I mean, requesting a dispensation has come up from time to time, and actually sort of when it has come up, I've had to sort of write an email out providing guidance, explaining. Yes. So You'll see at the end of the briefing note, there's actually now a sort of a guidance note which we'll keep on file. So actually in the future, either myself or a member of staff can forward that to the councillor that's asking. So I think this will be much more helpful.
Can you confirm you can do a dispensation on the day then?
Sorry, could you ask the question again, please?
Somebody can request a dispensation on the day.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Right, in that case, can I have a proposer, please, and a seconder? Proposed by Councillor Knott, seconded by Councillor Watkins. All those in favour? Again, unanimous. Thank you for that. Number 8 of 91, the official conduct and confidential reporting policy, and this is to revoke.
So briefing note pretty much covers everything, or it does cover everything. So we adopted the NAUC model of the whistleblowing policy, which actually covers most aspects of this. Areas not covered within that are actually covered by the Council of Financial Regulations and Standing Orders, likewise the staff handbook. So it's duplication, and it's no longer really needed.
Right.
I think bearing in mind it was originally adopted in 2014, there's just other things that have actually superseded it.
Yes, and as you say, the staff handbook now is far more comprehensive than it used to be, so it provides that information in there. Right. Yes, can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Haddon has proposed. A seconder, please. Councillor Knott. All those in favour? That's again unanimous. We now get to our last policy in this under this item, probity and planning policy to approve amendments in track changes. See the track changes in red. Again, can I have a proposer for this, please? Councillor Watkins has proposed, and a seconder. Councillor Villis has seconded that. All those in favour, please. And again, that was unanimous. Right, well, I'm pleased to say that brings us to the last item of our meeting, which is item number 92, which is the date of the next meeting, next full council meeting, which is on the 17th of September 2025. So thank you all very much for attending this meeting, and
Meeting end time?
meeting end time is
8:12
8:12
p.m.
Thank you all very much.